Difficult. Women.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
We did it! We're in 2022.
Yeah. we made it. We just stayed at home and just didn't do anything. Made it through the year, I hope.
I could possibly have a fever right now and COVID. But that's fine. God. Everything's going to be great.
Oh, God.
I'm just so excited that we're in a new year, and it is going to be good. And I went to my mountain yurt.
Yes, how was that?
I got there, and it had started sleeting, like pellets of ice. Ooh. And then it started raining, and then I couldn't figure out how to turn the heat on in the yurt. But then I realized it was winter solstice, 12/21/21, which was the darkest night of the year. So I then like doubled down on witching hour.
Yeah, love it.
And like started manifesting and stuff. And then the mountain across the way, 30 cop cars showed up to a cabin out there. And so I quickly got in my yurt and thought that maybe they had found a dead body, because I was also high, so I started getting really paranoid. So I zipped up the yurt and just hoped to God that like a murderer wasn't loose in the mountains and he was going to come and find me in my yurt.
It's probably like a drug raid or something.
I mean, definitely. Probably meth in the mountains again.
Yeah. Again.
But then the next day, my car broke down. And then Christmas was fine. It was great. Everything was fine. But it was like those 24 hours was like the last test of 2021 for me. And my number one goal for 2022 is to remain present and focus on the now. And so when all this shit was going down, when it was sleeting, when it was my car wouldn't start, I was like, okay, you have a choice right now to like make this like go sour and be really upset, or just find the zen and know that this will pass.
Yeah. So that's my 2022 resolution. Remain present and choose to be happy. Love it.
How are you?
I'm fine. I haven't seen a person in 5 days.
Oh, Lord.
I'm fine. I'm great. So I'm great. Oh, God.
We're doing great. It's so fun. It's so good. Anything else, or just want to dive right into this nugget of an episode?
I mean, I guess I could. My update is that I've been cleaning like a crazy person. By the time y'all are hearing this, my house will be spotless. To try to start the new year. And again, you're all listening to this after the new year, but starting the new year just with a clean plate, clean house, cleansed palette. I don't know. It's been good. It's been days of like, and I'm talking about like toothbrush to the tiles kind of cleaning.
Katie, who are you? What have you done with
very bored.
my co-host?
I just
wait, we didn't even introduce ourselves.
Oh my God, you don't know.
Jesus.
You don't even know what you're listening to. What? My name's Katie, by the way.
Sorry to interrupt you, clean Katie.
No, it's fine.
That's Katie. I'm Marie, and this is the Difficult Women podcast.
Yes, that's correct. Anyway, that's all. I mean, it's not like that exciting, but I recommend it. I recommend a good deep clean.
Especially to start anew.
Yeah. Feeling good. Feeling
That's
good. Feeling great.
I don't believe you.
Talking to myself a lot, but that's okay. That's not.
Do you talk to your fish? You still have your fish?
Yeah, your
hates
fish
is
me.
Still alive.
Yes, he hates me.
No, he
does. He flares at me. That's the nature of a beta, though, is they hate everybody.
Oh,
so he's just doing he's doing very well, and he hates me. And that's the natural order of things. It's fine.
He's thriving.
Yeah, he's doing good. I hope. It's hard to know for sure, but I love him.
Wait, but how was your Christmas?
It was very nice.
Went home.
I went
you finally
home
went
and
back.
Yeah. I took a bus there and back. I survived that, which was incredible. It was nice. I had not seen my dad in over 2 years. That was very nice. My stepsister got COVID, so we didn't get to see her, which is so sad. But that seems to be like the thing that happened to people's Christmases. Like nothing went planned as planned.
Right.
So it's just the nature of 2021. Hopefully next year will be a little more joyful. I don't know. We'll see.
It has to be. Because we can choose for it to be.
Sure. We can always have a good time, even when we're alone, as I've learned the last 2 years. It's good. I like being alone. It's fine.
Yes.
Anyway. Well, on that happy note, we can get into what we were talking about, what we're going to talk about today. We've sort of hit this topic before and different angles, and we sort of were circling back because Marie, you had a conversation, correct?
Yes, I was talking with some men.
What? Oh my God.
I know. I actually was talking to two men.
That's crazy.
Two really good friends of mine separately also. Like, so these were not conversations that had to do with the other. So I thought that that's why it was like, if my two guy friends separately are thinking about this topic, let's get two white women to discuss it too.
Sure.
And that is like, is woke culture killing the masculine man? And so with both of my friends, one of them was telling me that he finds that it's hard right now to have a masculine role model. And he was talking about just how Hollywood has killed the masculine man. And even he was talking about like, Die Hard is such a great movie. And he was watching it over Christmas. And like Bruce Willis is such a masculine man. But like those types of heroes, American heroes, are very kind of, there's a lot of misogyny in them. Mm-hmm. And this is like from the 70s and 80s especially, like that kind of superhero, even like Marvel and Star Wars, like Han Solo. Like, is there a Han Solo type character that Hollywood is producing nowadays? And like, I don't know, I kind of pushed back. I was like, well, what about like The Rock or I don't know.
Yeah, actually.
And I thought
he didn't like
The
that.
Rock or like Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
From Game of Thrones. Like, that's a masculine man. But he was just saying like more like super mainstream media. Like, who do they have as a role model now? And he was even going as far as saying that if it's not mirrored back to them, if there's not these like masculine men that are portrayed in mainstream media, they're like my good friends who I love, are saying that they're like kind of inherently seeking it out. And he said, I mean, both my friends are liberal and whatever, but he was saying that's why he finds that more men are flocking towards like Joe Rogan types or even going as far as Trump, because since they don't have it mirrored back to them in mainstream media, they're seeking it out themselves. So they're finding these masculine men, these role models on their own. And like, it's almost to the extreme. Especially, I mean, just think of like storming of the Capitol, and that type of masculine man who is a hunter and has guns and just doubles down on that type of masculinity. And is it because they don't like the woke culture has killed that type of man and has silenced it, and has feminism done that? And so both my friends were just saying, yeah. I was like, wait a minute.
That's
so
yeah. I have
so many thoughts on this.
My goal to come into this is to be empathetic with that feeling. But it's been really hard to feel a lot of empathy. There's certain places where, yes, I can absolutely feel empathy for that dilemma that a lot of straight men are faced with right now, because at the end of the day, I think that what sort of happened was straight men were at the top and now they're having to share space and they're not used to that. And that's uncomfortable. I mean, I can fully understand that that's uncomfortable. And I would even give them that, like, the pendulum is swinging, right? So it's maybe swung really far the other way. And there is a little bit of like a villainizing of the traditional masculine man.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So there's less but again, it's that thing where like it went from every single person on TV was a masculine man, white man, straight man, white straight man. Mm-hmm. And now there's less. But you bring up The Rock and they're like, well, that's not somebody. I'm like, well, that is somebody.
That is
I don't know. Khal Drogo, I mean, they have not disappeared the way that I think. So I think this is where I struggle with the again, it's not that my empathy comes from the fact that your worldview has shifted, or it's been rattled. Your life, perspective is being challenged, and that's very difficult. So I empathize with that. In addition to that, I guess my big question that I kept coming back to when I was looking this stuff up is what is masculinity?
Right.
Why? What is this definition that we're aiming for? Is it people that like hunting? Is hunting masculine inherently? And maybe it is. Let's even say that it is.
I mean, in the animal kingdom,
females hunt in the animal kingdom.
I stand corrected.
Right? I mean, like a lioness doesn't sit around while the lion hunts.
Right.
So like this is the stuff that I think we also have to like, and this is challenging people's perceptions, which is difficult for people that have been comfortable in those roles prior to this. And when you think about it, it's like every time I like look it up, I'm like, well, I'm just really trying to understand, what does masculinity mean? What does femininity mean? Like, what is it? What is it? And it is, I kept coming back, and the answers, they kept coming back around to, it's a social construct.
Right.
There was like some biological things that like, there's a tendency for men and boys to be like this, and a tendency for women and girls to be like this. Like one thing is that boys as little kids tend to be much more like violent, and girls tend to be a little more mentally manipulative, or something. Like manipulative is not the right word, but you know what I mean? Like able to kind of like socially, be bullies, and boys are more physical bullies. That's a generalization. That is a biological separation. Okay. Okay. So does that mean boys are brute force and women are smart? Like, I don't know. Is that really what we're going to say? Like, I don't know. There's problems inherently with those kinds of delineations. In addition to that, I would say what is more true than these like old fashioned, like men are like this, women are like this, is that every single human is a little bit on a spectrum. That where people are always full of masculine and feminine qualities. Each individual. Some people lean more toward masculine qualities traditionally. Some people lean more toward feminine traditional qualities. But that doesn't mean you're a man or a woman that's doing that. It's just like an individual tends to have. I think I have like, I just did this like, this is stupid online test. Means nothing. Very much means nothing. But when I did the test, it was like, you're 50% masculine and 50% feminine, and I was like, that checks out for me. Like,
wait, there's an online test that you answer questions and it tells you like which way you
where
slant
you fall
towards?
on the spectrum.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But it was like, and
it's like a BuzzFeed.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, it's not like a real
interesting
thing. But when I got those, when I saw that, I was like, that makes sense for someone like me. If you know me, you know what I mean. I can be kind of dominant with in certain ways and stuff like that. But that's considered a masculine trait, right? Why? I don't know. Like, why is it a masculine trait when women are also can be dominant? So it's like, what are we talking about here? I think that's part of it.
Right. You make a very good point of that. My friends are two white men who feel this way, and I really do believe them. But also, you make the point of that. Because they're being knocked off their place in the patriarchy, which I think that is the most important thing to like acknowledge here. But it's dangerous because then where are these men then turning for?
Right. And they're turning to Joe Rogan's and Jordan Peterson's and Trump's because they feel displaced.
Right. And Joe Rogan, I've only read it on Reddit a little bit, but Joe Rogan he was quoted saying like white men, the woke culture is killing the white man or their place in society, and he got a ton of pushback from people because of saying that. But I think he was actually interviewing Joe List, who we know, and he was saying like, and Joe kind of pushed back, but he was like, no, it really is like, we should be scared. And so you have this like role model, so these people are turning to Joe Rogan as their role model, and then he's telling them that they should be scared because their place in society is being knocked off. Like, that's where it gets dangerous, I think.
Right. And I think that's the part that I'm like, that this is where I lose my empathy, because like you're saying like, okay, well, my worldview is being shaken up, right? And that's dangerous to me. So I'm going to act like this sort of way. Yeah. I'm going to try to control the people around me. I'm going to bring guns to the Capitol. I'm going to do all this crazy stuff where like, that's not a solution to your identity problem. Not you, but like to white men's identity problems. It's not a solution. It's just adding fuel to the fire, and it's like a childish digging in of your heels to be like, I don't like that things are different. I don't like it. I won't stand for it. And it's like, look, the reason why things are changing is not because we want to make your life harder. The reason why they're changing is because while you were up feeling good about where you were at in society, everybody else was suffering. You know? The non-white straight man was suffering in different ways, in societal ways. Does that mean that white straight men never suffer? Absolutely not. Of course you do, because we're all humans too, right? And there's also economic suffering that happens within white straight male communities. Absolutely. And that is a part of like the bigger societal issues that we have. Some might argue that are based because of, you know, the patriarchal strata or whatever. But even eliminating that, like the idea that you're so upset about woke culture, but what woke culture really is at the end of the day is women taking back some power over their lives, is people of color taking back some power over their lives and asking for, and people of different, and for gay people and transgender people to say, like, I count also. I deserve everything also. And so when I hear someone say woke culture is destroying masculinity, part of me is like, and why is that bad? You know what I mean? And why? And how do you navigate that? Like, then what do you have to do? Does it, again, my empathy comes from, do I think that that's a legitimate thing that men are upset about? Yes, I fully, and that it's hard to navigate it? Yes. I fully give you the space to be challenged in this time, you know? But the solutions are not to like blame women or blame wokeness or blame, you know, pronouns. It's like you have to take responsibility for your place in this scenario. And it can't just be like, oh, well, we just want it to be back the way it was. Nobody wants to go back there except for you. You're the only one. Nobody wants to go back. Not really. You're going to tell a black man that, you know, I don't really want to see your representation on TV anymore because I need to see more of the white men. Yeah. I'm missing the white men. I hear that a lot too from liberal white men that they're like, well, where are all the white men on TV? I'm like, there's so many still.
Right.
There's so many still.
It really reminds me of the episode we did, This Is Your Brain on Porn, a couple weeks ago, of just how women sexually are turned on by so many different things when they watch porn, but then men, it's like very black and white. And it kind of feels like this with this issue as well, where it's like viewing masculinity, it's either all the way masculine portrayal of what's the guy's name from Die Hard? What's his character's name?
I don't know in the movie. I'm gonna say Wilson Phillips.
That guy.
You know the guy, Wilson Phillips from Die Hard.
We don't quote sources. We have no data. We don't know. But, you know, Wilson Phillips. But just like, it's not black and white. That's what I'm saying. But I think that sometimes these, at least my friends, it's black and white to them. It's like, I'm not seeing portrayal of me on there, on the TV anymore. So woke culture has killed masculinity. Whereas,
what about that show that got so popular?
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
My favorite show.
Is that not a masculine man? Because he's not holding a gun? I mean, I think he's actually a very good portrayal of a masculine man with a capital M. You know? But he's also kind. And he's also, I didn't get that far in the show, but I think he's supposed to be a pretty kind person. Why is that not a masculine quality? Why is that not something that is reflected? You know, why do you not see yourself in him?
That's actually a very good point.
Why are you meeting someone with a gun or whatever? Like, what is that about? And they do, and we still have guys with guns. You know, it's like not like we don't have that.
But is that why, you know, video game playing is up for men? I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, but it's up for women too. I mean, I don't know.
But I don't know if it is.
But the other thing is, like, I think part of that is it's like it feels right now to me. And again, my YouTube algorithm is fucked right now, and I'm going to be real upset about it because I did go down a Jordan Peterson rabbit hole because I was like, let me see if I can understand what's happening here, you know?
Okay.
And I was very triggered, but I was like, I'm going to sit through my triggeredness and really try to hear him and hear his perspective.
He lives in Nashville. You do know that.
Oh, he does? Oh, God. He's Canadian, I think, though, right? He's a very
But I
strong
think
Canadian
during the
accent.
pandemic, he moved here.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
And
So
like,
good.
listen, like what I found was, and in my, couple hours of wormhole following, and this is where I want to say that I think that this is where men are turning to people like Jordan Peterson, because Jordan Peterson is outlining for them what he thinks men have to do to kind of get back their
Place?
I don't know, identity or place or something like that, right? Some of what he says, I think is fucking great. I honestly do. Like,
Really?
He has this book. It's called book by Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life, right? And if you just look, I didn't read the book, so it's like, this is where it gets tricky, but if you just look at the rules for life, it's shit like clean your room, stand up straight. When you stand up straight, people like respect you, re-own your respect, right? Like feel respect for yourself. People will respect you. One was like pet cats.
No.
Yeah, that's like the last one. And I think the point is probably something like be present and be kind and whatever.
Great.
This sounds great.
Yeah.
If the message is, hey man, you're feeling lost, and a lot of what he says too is like, to be a good man, you need to be productive within society. You need to be kind to your family and like he really is into this idea of being a provider, but even so, sure. Like be a support system for your family, for the people around you. Don't lie. That's one of the on list. Don't lie. These are great rules for anybody.
This is his book?
This is
when
great.
did his book come out?
A
Was
while
this
ago. I
recently?
don't know. No, I think it's been a couple years now.
Oh, okay.
But the point is, this is great. This is great. Like, and that's why people maybe are drawn to him originally, right? And it's mostly men. But where we get off the rails with Jordan Peterson is that then instead of just saying, hey guys, like I know it's like a tough time and woke culture and all that stuff, and you're finding it hard to find your place again. Here are some steps you can take. Make your bed every day. Clean your room. Have respect for yourself. Don't lie. That's great. But instead of just stopping there, and which is basically saying you need to take responsibility for who you are in this society, right? Instead of just stopping there, he then goes on to say, one of the reasons why you're struggling is because feminism. And he puts it on women. And it's like they can't just take responsibility for themselves. They have to have a scapegoat. It has to be the pronoun conversation. It has to be women. Should women be in the workplace? I don't know. If we really want to stop sexual harassment in the workplace, maybe women and men can't work together. What are you fucking talking about? Why don't you instead tell people to stop harassing people? Take responsibility for your behavior. Instead
So
of
he's saying that
women
men are built like this, so everybody
so that
else should just
that's just what
kowtow
it
to
is.
them.
Exactly. So this is where like I can't get behind this. I just can't get behind. Do I think it's a great idea for men to own their masculinity and own all the parts of themselves? And should we as a society give men more space to be able to feel fully, right? To cry, because I don't think it shouldn't be not masculine to not cry, or you know what I mean? It shouldn't be like the antithesis of masculinity to cry. But like, and because is our definition of masculinity just like stone-heartedness? Like, I don't think that that's really what men want masculinity to be. So like, yes, there's things as women, and we can give it a little bit more space to like the emotional aspects of men and things that we consider too feminine or what. We got to work on that. But in the meantime, these men that feel lost also need to look inside them and stop blaming the world around them for this shit. And this is where, and I love men, but as you've heard on the podcast, I've been shooting, batting zero with these guys, because it's like another lesson we could teach a guy: listen to people. Just listen to what and the thing about Jordan Peterson is what he loves to do is bash feminism and stuff like that because he thinks it's this way and that way, and the world really should, the real natural order of things is this and that. But what he's fully unwilling to do is accept the idea that maybe his worldview is not the only worldview. Maybe his life experience and that one experiment he ran or read about isn't the whole picture. And and he's very, very obsessed with this idea that women are being told not to have children, and that like women are, being forced by society not to get into families. It's like, nah, bitch, like a lot of us would like to be in a nice relationship. Right. But if we can't even get through a date with someone asking us a question, right. If you want to talk about studies, there's a million studies about how women are actually turning out to be happier when they're single. But it's not because women hate men. It's because the men aren't showing up. They're not taking responsibility for themselves. They're not able to step away from this idea that a woman is just like another thing for them to have and to make their life better. And instead they can, if they were able to come in and say, hey, look at this cool human being that I could like spend some of my life with. Like, what a neat thing. But that's not what Jordan Peterson is advocating.
I'm not very familiar with Jordan Peterson because I just know how awful he is. So I just kind of have dodged a lot of him. I just know that he moved to Nashville during the pandemic, and I know that he hates women. I mean, that's basically so. I mean, that's kind of the gist that I've gathered.
And he would say, look, we've simplified that, and like, I don't hate women, but I just think that there's a natural order to things that feminism is trying to destroy. He's obsessed with this idea that there's all these nihilists within this he calls it this postmodern nihilistic society, which would be us, you know what I mean? And that our entire goal is to destroy everything that has ever existed. And on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, because some of it's not serving us. So like we joke about like, burn it all down. So in that sense, like, yeah, you're not totally wrong. But what you're not asking the question, Jordan, my man, is that like, why do you think we want to do that? Because we just hate you? Because we hate, no, it's because this system doesn't work equally for everybody. That's why. And he doesn't seem to want to hear that. He doesn't seem to, he really thinks he's the smartest man in the room, which is fine. He's not dumb and he's well spoken. But I can see through he is full of fear. He is somebody that is motivated by fear. And it comes across as anger and, strength, but it's not. It's just fear of change. What is that quote that Ginsburg said at a thing? She didn't write it, but it's like, all we ask of you, we're not saying we need to be better than you. We just ask you take your knee off our necks. Take your knee off our necks. And like, that's a literal thing that happened. And this quote is from long before that, but like that's what it feels like for everybody, where these white straight men have had their knee on the neck of everybody else. That's all we're asking. So the people that hate, you sent me that anti-feminist group stuff, and it's like feminists want to be better than men. We really don't. It's really not. We joke about that stuff a little bit just because there's anger there that has to be processed. And so here's another thing as a society we could do better with. We can sort of like let go of some of that anger. Let go as best we can, even though it's not being reciprocated to us, but let go of some of that and say, look, we don't have to demonize white straight men, right? We can stop demonizing them because there's nothing inherently wrong with being a white straight man. It's that the society has just been unequal in that regard, and it's been frustrating for everybody else. So if we can also start to if everyone can recognize openly and say, look, there's nothing inherently wrong with being gay. There's nothing inherently wrong with being black. There's nothing inherently wrong with being a woman. There's nothing inherently wrong with being a straight white man. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's just that the culture around that has become toxic. That's all. It's not your fault as an individual straight white man, but the solution isn't to try to
double down on it. Own your place, right?
Yeah, put women back in the kitchen.
Right.
Who's happy then? And that's the other thing. Jordan Peterson loves to say shit like, it's been proven that women are happier when they're housewives and have babies. Where are you getting that from?
Right. Where's your data? Cite your sources, Jordan.
Yeah. Right. If that was true, then why would we be wanting to change it anyway? Why do so many people want change? It's you don't want it to be changed, but other people do. So like, you don't care about other people's happiness. You care about your happiness.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I just want to make it clear, though, if there is a man listening, we do love men. And especially, like, if you are a full person, a human, and you love hunting, and you love big pickup trucks, and you love this and that, like, I don't want you to feel like society is telling you that you can't love those things. You can love it. I've dated a hunter. I went hunting. I tried to hunt. I couldn't do it.
But my point is, you can love hunting. You can love giant trucks, and you can love kittens. And those things are not mutually exclusive. That's and beautiful. One is not more, you know what I mean? And you can love, Taylor Swift. And you can love painting your fingernails. And you can still be a heterosexual man. Like, this is what we're fighting for. We're not fighting so that we don't let
shame
you
for these things, right?
Yeah. It's that we want to our freedom is your freedom. Our equality is your freedom. Like this, because the thing that's like unfortunate about Trump and Jordan Peterson and all these people is they're actually keeping men in a box. They're not letting men.
They're putting these unattainable boundaries almost too.
Yeah. They're saying, and I don't know specifically what Jordan. I kept trying to look up, like, well, how does Jordan Peterson feel about crying?
Too triggering. About crying.
Well, I wanted to know, like, how does he feel about men crying? And I couldn't find anything. So I'd be curious if anybody knows. But like, I hope that what he says about it is like, yes, feel your feelings. I really hope he is telling men to do that, because that's part of the thing. I have no idea if he is or isn't. But like, I do know that like, that's not something that we're letting men do. And that's and the thing about, again, the new world order, whatever that they're afraid of, is actually, it's not about nihilism where we destroy your livelihood or your life. It's that we destroy these ideas that you can only be one way. But what's bad about that? So really, wear pink while you're riding your big truck. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Put on a bunny suit and like, wear fucking high heels and do it. And that doesn't have to like, that's infringe on anything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what the beautiful, that's where we're trying to go in 2022.
Right.
It's just just own who you are and love.
Just be a human.
But here's the thing. You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. You got to love all aspects of yourself. And you have to be proud of what you love and who you love and respect and all that sort of stuff.
And you know what?
I think that's the problem.
I think you're making an excellent point, because people that love themselves love other people and want other people to feel happy and feel full and complete. And
I don't know if Jordan Peterson loves himself.
No, he doesn't.
Trump certainly doesn't.
No, because he doesn't know, like, if you love yourself, you're not intimidated by other people's things. If you're, and that's the other thing, is this idea of confidence as a masculine quality or whatever. Sure, okay, fine, let's even go with that. But if you're truly confident, then you won't be bothered by a woman who's successful. You won't be bothered because you'll be celebrating with her, because you will be so comfortable with who you are. Right? Don't we preach that all the time about each other? Like, don't compare yourself to other people. Do you, What is wrong with that? I mean, what I just don't fundamentally understand. And this is why I say that, like, this stuff is coming from fear. It can only be from fear. They say that not to get woo all of a sudden, but the opposite of fear is love, right? And when you love, then you can accept and you can be okay in a world where things aren't perfect for you every day, because you know that it's perfect in that everybody is happy. Everybody is thriving. When everybody's thriving, you thrive too. But when you want to control people, you're not going to be happy. So I think that's the other sad thing about this, is that these men are like running to try to find meaning and purpose with who they should be and an identity. And like, I think that is a human, normal thing that they absolutely should do, and they should explore those things. But then they're turning to people that are just trying to keep them more trapped and enslaved to these notions that they don't work. If they don't work if they don't work for everybody, then they don't work.
So we have to just double down 2022 and just understand that everybody's different, and love yourself, and we'll live in harmony all together. Yeah.
And honestly, if you're a man or a woman, you're whatever you are, if you're unhappy, you can work on yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff you can do to work on yourself to be happier. It doesn't have to do with controlling other people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, really.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's my big takeaway from this is make your bed,
Mm-hmm.
pet a cat, don't lie. Just like Jordan Peterson says, be a responsible human, take care of your community. Those are great. That's great. But
And
just
don't
get
be
rid of the rest of
afraid.
it.
Don't be afraid.
And don't be afraid of us.
Right?
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Hide. Yeah.
We love everybody. I love humans. We love you, men. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Thank you. And
send us your emails.
Be proud of who you are. But just stay in your lane. All right. Beep beep. Yes, send us emails, follow us on Patreon, buy our merchandise. We have merch now at difficultwomenpodcast.com. Hashtag not all men.